Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we are reviewing the Xshot Longshot from Zuru. This is I guess this is the first step into the kind of quote-unquote pro competitive blaster scene from Xshot. They've got a pretty good offering at a compelling price. So we're going to go over everything today. We're going to do another overview of the actual blaster itself. We're going to take it out on the range, get some accuracy and precision shots for you guys. We'll throw it over the chronograph and get some numbers there, and just give you my overall thoughts and feelings on this one. We won't be unboxing it, obviously. That video was posted last week. There'll be a card at the end to check that out. But this is our review of this amazing, heck of a deal blaster. And I think that's kind of where we'll start, is the price point. $30, what does that get you? Well, it gets you the blaster, removable iron sights, you got front and back. The iron sights themselves aren't the highest quality, but they do stay on. As far as that goes, as long as you've got like them in a couple notches in. This one does seem a little bit looser, and the fact, like, if you have it right off the front here, it will fall off. So like I said, you've got to put it in just a little bit, 3 or 4 clicks. One of the things I do want to note, and this is not by any means a modding video or anything like that, that will be a future one. We've got some really good stuff planned, so keep an eye out for that. But couple of things I noticed here is both sights have these screw holes that go all the way through and line up perfectly with the full Picatinny rail. You can take, I think it was an M3, yeah, an M3 by 30 or 32 screw, and that will go all the way through. And then there's actually a place that you can put a square nut, or you might be able to cram a hex nut in there. I'm not sure, but that will at least tighten these down for you if you want to do that. Spend a couple bucks and get those tightened down. But like I said, if you're just running and gunning with this blaster by itself, those aren't gonna fall off. So just make sure they're in a couple notches, and you'll be good to go. Like I said, underneath the sights, you have a full Picatinny rail or Picatinny style rail. That is good for optics, cameras, flashlights, lasers, anything you want to attach. It's got a nice kind of raised up just a little bit off of the stock itself, which is great because then you don't have to worry about getting a too big of riser. However, you'll see in the firing footage, I had to add a little bit of a riser to mine just to get it to work. Starting at the front, we have a muzzle attachment here. It's actually in 2 pieces, so this is kind of just for decoration. Has no scarring or anything like that, just simply for decoration. You also get a kind of a muzzle extension or a barrel extension that has just ever so slightly amounts of scarring in there. Scar barrel in there. So I did put a dart through this, and it does make connection with the 4 lines that are kind of spiraling in there. So it will put some spin on it. It's better than nothing, but there are better ones out there. So that just friction fits in the front. We don't have an exposed barrel, so you can't put any of your attachments on there. It's a pretty wide opening, so you'll have to get a kind of a 3D, you'll have to have a 3D print made of something that will fit this. I don't think the Nexus Pro, yeah, this is too large for the Nexus Pro attachments, unfortunately. But the good news is Zuru was thinking of us when they were designing this blaster. I really do think they were. Like I said, this isn't a modding video, but I have to show you this because I feel like this is a huge value add, especially at a $30 price point. So we are able to hot swap both the spring and the barrel in this with only removing 3 screws. So 2 screws up front here, 1. And like I said, I apologize. This is not a modding video, but I have to show you this because it's insane. Like, this is awesome. 2 right here, 2nd screw. And what that does for you is that releases these 2 pins that are held in on that side. 2 plastic pins, nothing fancy, but that'll let you simply pull off this muzzle and voila, you have access to the barrel. Now, this is exceptionally important because if you want to swap out barrels, you can do that on the fly. Just remove those 2 screws and you're good to go. The one thing you will have to modify though is on the inside of your muzzle here, there is an inner circle that's a smaller diameter than the 16 millimeter that the barrel is. That's to stop the barrel from sliding forward. If you're gonna swap your barrel out in this fashion, you will have to sand that down with either a Dremel, sandpaper, or like a sanding bar or whatever. You'll have to sand that all the way down so that your barrel can protrude out through that ring. The problem with that is, of course, nothing's holding your barrel from falling forward. So what you'll have to do is when you insert your new barrel or the original barrel, you'll have to take some electrical tape and give you a few wraps around the barrel itself so that it marries up with the inner diameter of this muzzle piece here. I haven't done any of that. The one thing I did want to mention though, I keep saying this isn't a modding video, this is a review, but again, something that you have to think about when purchasing this, and we're going to make some comparisons to the Nexus Pro and the Max Striker, is barrel length. What I have here, and let me switch gears here, what I have here is the stock barrel for a Nexus. This is the internal barrel for a Nexus right here. I don't have my ruler with me, but I think it measured out to be like 6.5 or 6 inches. Yeah, this is the inner barrel. There's a plastic bit or whatever that the dart gets loaded into or whatever, but this is the metal barrel, and this is usually what people will upgrade first or second to the spring, of course. But I wanted to show you something with your $50, $60 blaster. That's the inner metal barrel. And this is what you get with a $30 Xshot Longshot. This is 13.5 inches. Look at that. Over twice the barrel length. Over twice the barrel length. And it's for a couple different reasons, right? I mean, it's a Bullpup design, so the dart gets loaded in back here. And so that's one of the benefits in real steel, at least, that you have for a Bullpup is you get a longer barrel without having a longer barrel this way. More of the barrel is taken up by the actual gun itself. So it's really cool that they took advantage of that and didn't, just put in, the same barrel, right? And just put it like this, and then the rest was faux plastic barrel. No, they went ahead and full metal from front to back, which was fantastic. Absolutely love that. To take off the spring, there's a screw just in here. And when you take that, I'm not going to take that off for this one, but when you take this off right here, the whole like plunger, or not plunger, priming section comes out, and then you can pull the spring out with that. And that gives you access to the spring, which is super cool, and just gives you an added feature to think about when you're upgrading or looking to upgrade or purchasing with intent to upgrade your next blaster. And for those, like I said, for those of you that are newer to the hobby, this is a great purchase because you won't have to buy that extended barrel. Like, it already had, like, this barrel that comes stock with this blaster is longer than my upgraded Nexus Pro. So, like, the fact that I purchased that to upgrade the performance on my main blaster, and this comes with a longer one stock, is just, it just speaks to the level of like competence and like understanding of what their customer is and wants. And we'll talk about like some other like key features and my likes and dislikes about this thing, but like that is huge because, like I said, spending $20 to get a new barrel, it's already taken care of for you. Like, that barrel already costs $20. So this included is chef's kiss. So yeah, think about that. $50 blaster, $30 blaster. More barrel, better performance. So that's the front. Moving back here, we have our priming handle. It's kind of like an angled foregrip. It does have Picatinny under here. One of the things that you are probably asking yourself about is how is the wobble, and the side-to-side wobble is pretty rough. There's not much as far as the front to back, so you don't feel it when you're going front to back. It's really more the side to side. And one thing that people will compare this to is the Nexus Pro and the Max Striker. And I wanted to show you that to you. So here is like a front view, and this is me kind of rocking it back and forth. Right. The other thing I want to have you guys hear is the sound that it's making. So the plastic quality is pretty good. We'll kind of talk about that here in a minute, but like listen. Oh, that was me. That was me cocking it. So it definitely has some in there, but let me show you. Here is my Nexus Pro, right? And here is the front wobble, right? So it does have like that same kind of wobble. And then here's the sound. Right? There's that extended barrel I was telling you about right there. $20 to extend the barrel out. And then here is my son's Max Striker. Right, here's the front to left to right wobble. And then here's the sound. So, and this one, the handle has a really bad rattle. I can't stand that thing. So, as you can tell, it's not any worse than either of those two. I see online, people are like, oh, well, it's, it's Xshot plastic, so it's going to be worse. Like, it's really not that bad. The one thing you'll notice is it's got this really cool skin from front to back, and it's on both sides. Super gorgeous, and it just adds a level of, like, finish to the blaster. It gives it a real nice matte finish. And some of these things look almost like screws or, actual parts to the blaster when they're just decals. They're not stickers. It's not like painted on. It's almost like it almost reminds me of someone hydro dipping a blaster. They've also got it on the front pump grip as well as the main grip here. Moving on back, when you prime it, you've kind of got this ratcheting sound. 1, 2, 3. And then you pull forward and you can prime it. Plunger tube is really good. It's got a nice slow release. Of course, that's me with my finger. If I were to actually cap it off, not too bad. Not the best, but again, $30. And that's the thing we'll keep coming back to, $30. But that ratcheting is nice because if you're not like if you're less than 14, less than what the box says, and you have a problem priming, you can't get it all in one go, like, it'll stop there. You can't fire it and you can't push it forward. You got to go the last bit and then it goes forward. But it's nice because it doesn't like slam forward on you. And it doesn't have like that loose, feeling like the Nexus Pro has. So it's definitely, there is no like play in it. Even though it's a full dart and half dart magazine, there isn't that like kind of slop in there. It's definitely solid. Trigger pull is not too shabby. It's kind of got a gliding trigger, so it doesn't it doesn't rock or anything like that. It just slides back in its track. It's very snappy. There's a little bit of play right here, and you could tell like right there's where it's going to activate. So it activates right about there. So there's a little bit of play. You got your safety on, off. We'll talk about this feature in a second. This is really cool. Nice grip. It's got a nice kind of solid piece. More screws than both the Nexus and the Max Striker have. And that gives you a little bit peace of mind when it comes to like, oh my God, this handle is just terrible. But it gives you, it doesn't feel like it's going to fall off. It's not creaking, but it does have that nice finish, couple different textures to it. And then also with like the like I said, the skins itself, kind of give it that extra, premium feel. You get a window into your plunger tube. I've heard that these are very, very delicate, so don't push on it or step on it or drop it. That's usually the thing that's going to break. Moving further back, you've got this nice slot in here where you can get out jams. This part, the left side, does flip open to give you a little bit more space, so you can take your magazine, and if you have any jams or whatever, you can kind of fiddle those around and get those in and out, which is really nice. This being open is not required for the blaster to fire, so there's no safeties there, which is fantastic. Mine is a little loose, which is kind of sad because it won't pop open on its own, but it just feels like it's unfinished. But that's nothing that a magnet right here will fix, and a magnet on the door, so it'll kind of stay in place. There is just the latches on this side. There's just nothing on this side. So it just, like I said, it doesn't have the same finished feel that the rest of the blaster has. Further back, this is one of those features that I thought was a button, but it's not. It's just literally plastic. You've got your actual dart kind of magwell here. So it does, like I said, full length darts as well as half length darts. Your full length darts, here's your mag release. That'll take it out there. Half length, you will need to use their included mag adapter, which is awesome. I didn't try. Actually, you know what? We can go out on the fly and try it right now. So Max Striker. So Max Striker, will it fit? It will fit. Max Striker fits, which is nice. And then the ultimate goal, will the worker fit? Ooh, that's sleek. I like that. I like that a lot. So this one is this is from Worker. This is just their pole one. So you don't have a switch, a toggle or anything. So you put it in, locks in, and then you can friction presses in and out. So no gravity drop or anything like that, but it's in there, not gonna fall out, which is nice. The nice thing about what's included, though, let me set these aside. The nice thing about what is included, though, is this magazine adapter is not your ordinary magazine adapter. And I'll show you why. So you stick this in, right, and you've got your short dart magazine, which comes included. Slides in, locks in. Normally, you'd have to press this paddle to release it. From what I remember, it does gravity drop, which is awesome. So this is kind of the normal, kind of what we're all used to as far as release our magazines. Now, Xshot and Zuru went above and beyond, and they included this not only one. This is ambidextrous, so it's not on one side, it is on both sides. This is a mag release for the short darts. This little trigger right here. So you can reach it with your thumb if you're right-handed, or holding it with your right hand. If you're holding it left-handed, you can reach it with your thumb. I don't think you'd want to do it any other way. Yeah. So yeah, it's with your thumb on your main hand, and that just clicks in, and then gravity drops out, which is super nice. As far as like talons and stuff like that goes, I only had about, I'd say about 5%, 5 to 10% of the time, like it wouldn't gravity drop. It would just, I'd have to give it, like you said, that little shake, but most of the time it would just drop right out. That is like a super nice feature. The one thing that I will say, and again, this is not a modding video, this is a review. If you want to make sure that it drops out every time, I would just take a couple rounds of electrical tape and wrap around the bottom of your magazines when it comes to the worker ones. But these ones, they all gravity drop out. It's just such a great feature, and the fact that it's ambidextrous, like that is, like, well done Xshot, well done. It's phenomenal. So that's where the darts get loaded into the blaster itself. We already talked about the length of the barrel and how it's twice as long as the Striker and the Nexus. So, oh man, it's just it's so nice. And then one other feature that they didn't have to include at all, and since it's a Bullpup, it makes it even more kind of special, is you've got an extendable stock. Yeah, it's not, it only goes about 1.5 inches or so. But like, come on, like you got 1, 2, and 3, and it's a solid lock. You just push in this bottom, trigger or switch here, and that's how you activate it. You do have a sling point here that's molded into the plastic, which is nice, so it's not kind of it's not screwed in or anything like that. Molded in plastic, fantastic job there. Actually, you know what? Looks like maybe half of it. I don't know how that works. This side is definitely molded in. That looks like it passes through. I don't know. I'll have to open it up and see what that looks like. But you also have a possible sling point here, and then one down here at the bottom of the handle. So, and again, you could put D-rings and stuff like this up here for connection points and quick disconnects and things like that. So, overall, absolutely love what is going on in this blaster, and it's just, there's so many rich features that come with like a pro status blaster that for $30, like, this is phenomenal. So without me gushing too much over it, let's take it out on the range and see how she shoots, how it performs. We'll put over the chronograph for you guys and take a look. So let's go ahead and jump over to the range and let's get some footage for you guys. Alright, so we're out on the range. We've got the Zuru Longshot from Xshot. We're going to be shooting out of a Worker Talon red ruby darts. We got 10 and then 10. We're at 45 feet. These are brand new darts, aiming dead center on the target. Next up, we've got the Adventure Force Ember Darts. 45 feet, dead center. Alright, next up, 45 feet, we've got the Worker Gen 3 darts, Gen 3 Plus. We're at 45 feet again. Last up, we have the Dart Zone bamboo darts. These are the 2.0 ones. 45 feet, dead center. All right, guys, so we are back out from the range, and holy smokes, this thing is so amazing. Oh, I can't wait to go over these numbers with you guys. First, a couple things. I left off the flash hider because of it doesn't do anything. The only thing it can do is hinder performance. I left the included scar barrel because it has that scarring, and I did see through some practice shots dart spin on it. I can verify that it does doesn't make contact with the darts, not as much as you would like, but it does improve, so I left that on there. I figured stock performance is good to keep that on, so yeah, for accuracy's sake and precision's sake, I left this on. I didn't end up using the included darts. I mean, these are long darts, so we're definitely not going to be reviewing those, but I didn't use the included darts because it only came with 20, and that's not enough to actually do my testing. So once we they make these available to buy as a refill pack, I can go back and try them. Yeah, I just wasn't gonna waste the time with it. So we'll cross that bridge when these are more readily available in Target or in online and stuff like that. So, yeah, let's kind of talk about the numbers and everything. Starting off with the FPS test results, and yeah, as far as my testing goes, I use all brand new darts for every test every time. And I even go through as I'm loading and take out any of like ones that have like glue that come, extra glue that's sticking out, or if one of them are bent, those get all discarded. So brand new darts, never been fired before. I use a 20 dart grouping. So this is for the average of the FPS tests as well as for out on the range for the accuracy test. So for the Longshot, since it does have the full Picatinny rail, I added my own red dot sight. This is really for my use only. It's a little bit easier than the included iron sights, but the red dot isn't zeroed in for the precision testing. It's literally just on there so that I can ensure that I'm aiming at the exact same center point every shot, from the first one all the way through the last one, just to ensure that I'm keeping true to myself. Trying to make the test as kind of human proof as possible. I mean, I know there's still the elements and things like that, but anyway, so that's what I did add to it. Obviously that is an aftermarket part, so you'll have to purchase that. It doesn't come with the blaster itself. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about these results for the FPS first. So looking at the first thing that you'll notice right off the bat is Worker Gen 3. While the standard deviation was the best at 9.0, it kind of was one of the lower performing, across the board as far as the high, the low, and the average, finishing at an average of 122 with a high of 132. Not the best showing for that dart. I know we tend to say that the Worker Gen 3 Plus darts are the kind of the gold standard as far as weight, accuracy, FPS. And I agree. I definitely agree. Those are my favorite darts to use. I absolutely love them. Just from a durability standpoint, but also from a performance standpoint. It was, like I said, was the most consistent. But the good news is, being at that 120 range, it does set this blaster up to, with that ammo type, to be a solid to be a solid HVZ candidate. A lot of people are moving from that 100 and 110 to 120 to include a few more blasters. Hopefully this will convince a few more people to kind of make that jump. Yeah, having that, that kind of that pinpoint at 122 average is phenomenal. The Ruby darts kind of filled a similar role at 130 range, coming in at 132. Slightly higher deviation at 10.9. The bamboo darts, as kind of the usual story when it comes to FPS, are the higher range, going at 157, and then as an average, and then a high of 195. This is due to mostly their lower weight between the other darts, but they did have the weakest deviation at 15, which still isn't too hateful. But the one thing I will make note, with the average being 157, that's a good kind of point to hit as far as like kind of one of those thresholds. Like if the cap is 150, 157 as an average isn't too bad. But the downside is, having at 15 deviation, your high is 195. So you're hitting almost 50 FPS higher than what your the kind of threshold is. So I would be a little worrisome and a little kind of cautious about using those darts in here in this blaster for that that threshold or that limit at 150. But yeah, the Ember darts, again, kind of 135, kind of filled that same role as the Ruby darts, a similar deviation. But all in all, the highest FPS is going to go to the Dart Zone Bamboo 2.0s. So as far as like thoughts, and things go for the FPS rings, I love the fact that all the darts performed at kind of those different thresholds. And you hear me talking about this constantly, is what, you can modify your blaster to hit a certain threshold, but you can also use your ammunition to also hit a certain threshold. So that is kind of one of the things that you can kind of tweak in the knobs you can turn to kind of tune your blaster for what FPS cap you're trying to hit. If you need to go a little bit lower, the other thing you could do is extend the barrel out a little bit more and add a scar barrel. If you've got a 3D printer, designing a scar to fit on here to be a little bit more aggressive, that will kind of shave off an additional 5-10 FPS. So if you need to get that extra wiggle room down a little bit, that's a way you can absolutely do it. So let's go ahead and switch over to the firing demo results, and holy cow, like at 45 feet, this thing is on fire. As far as like the testing goes, just like I said before, 20 brand new darts. I usually start out at the 45-foot range, and then if the darts are falling short out of frame, then the majority of them are. And then I'll scoot up to 30 if they are pinpoint accurate and hitting dead center. Then I'll back up to the 60-foot range. It just kind of depends on the blaster, but based on the FPS results with this one, I started at that 45-foot range, and that was kind of its sweet spot. There were a few darts that fell out of frame, but that's kind of par for the course when you're talking about shooting foam darts at throughout the elements. But let's take a look at the actual results here, and keep in mind the accuracy is with a red dot that has not been zeroed in. So kind of take the accuracy with a grain of salt. We're more so looking at the precision and how tight the grouping is versus did I hit the target or did I not hit the target. So let's take a look here. First off, the Dart Zone Ruby darts had the worst spread of the bunch. Many of the darts didn't even hit the fence. So clearly something is up with that kind of that dart when it comes to this blaster, whether that's the weight, the air capacity, whatever the case may be. It's just not a fan of it. It also had the widest spread vertically and horizontally than any of the other three, which is definitely not where you want to be at. So avoid ruby darts at all costs with this blaster. Okay, so then let's move over to Worker. They had kind of a similar issue with darts not making it to the fence. They still had more darts on target than Ruby darts did. Their horizontal finishing just was kind of abysmal, and the same could be said about the Ruby darts. Is just it wasn't what you want to be. We're shooting at a 2-foot target, so the fact that some of the darts are going outside that is kind of unacceptable. That's really an easy fix, and that's just adding a more aggressive scar barrel to the end of this. I think there's enough barrel length for this blaster. You might consider a spring upgrade to give it a little bit more power. But as far as the grouping is concerned, you're definitely gonna have to figure out an upgrade for the scar barrel. The clear winner here, if you can't notice, is the Adventure Force Ember darts. Super impressed on the horizontal scale as well as the vertical scale. They only had a few darts that fell short of the target, but all of the darts came within frame, which is fantastic. This usually doesn't happen. This is usually the lowest performing dart when it comes to any Springer that I've tested. So good job, Ember darts. You seem to have got this one, although that's kind of sad because I'm not a fan of those darts, just because it's known. I think I've expressed it on the channel before, but I'm not a fan of it because I tend to play on grassy areas, except for down in Cincinnati. But with grass, like they're black darts, they're dark gray darts. Like you have the hardest time finding them, and it's really unfortunate. I wish they would change. I wish they would swap the colors. Right, make the tip that dark color and make the foam orange. That would be way better. So yeah, so the Adventure Force Ember Darts had a much better grouping, which is fantastic. The only thing left to talk about is the Bamboo Darts. And while they had the most shots on target, and they still had a few fall short, they put them in a good second place. Their horizontal grouping was really good. I really can appreciate that. It just, they just had some really weird duds. And when I say duds, I mean like shots that didn't go 20 feet before hitting the ground. Most of these other darts that, you know, were out of frame, that are marked out of frame, you know, fell just short of the fence, right? But there was probably about 3 of the 4 darts that were off frame. Probably about 3 of those darts were 10, 15, maybe 20 feet into the dirt. It was really, really strange. So I don't know if it was the temperature outside, which it was kind of a more cool day. So I don't know if it was that. I'm not really sure. I don't have an explanation for it. I'll have to do more testing and post down below in the comments if I see anything. So overall, Ember Darts are the way to go with this one. Unless you're looking for a specific FPS range, then, you know, choose your darts accordingly. But the Ember Darts seem to perform the best. And like I said, adding a different scar barrel would definitely tighten up all of these groupings for the better. The one thing I do want to talk about, and this is something new that I'm going to try out. Let me know in the comments below if you guys find this interesting or if it's just kind of a waste of time. I want to start an actual accuracy kind of portion of my reviews. So I'll do the standard precision like I just showed you and we just talked about, where, you know, I'll throw on a red dot, make sure the darts are hitting the target and stuff like that, and then show you the results for each of them. But with the top performing dart, I want to go ahead and go back and add 20 fresh new darts and actually zero in my red dot and see how accurate it is. So this is not only just performance, this is me tinkering around with the red dot, getting it zeroed in so that as many shots, we're getting as close to that 90% threshold as far as the accuracy goes as we possibly can. So on this slide here, you can see on the left, I've got the actual precision testing. That's what we just looked at. And then on the right image is after I've altered the red dot. Now, the scarring, the grouping is a little bit different, clearly. But I was able to increase, get 1 extra shot on target. The other thing you'll notice is there's a couple of shots that went high left here. So the grouping did come up, which is nice. Overall, that's kind of what you're looking for, is getting everything within that 2 foot range. But yeah, I don't know what else to say. Like it did improve. The one thing that I will have to improve if I do go forward with this accuracy test is I'll probably have to upgrade my red dot to something that has a little bit better features as far as adjustability goes. Right now, the red dot I have is just kind of a cheap Amazon one. So let me know down in the comments if this is something that you would find interesting. And if it would be beneficial to have. I'll definitely put the money in and get one. I'd like to get a better one for my try-on anyway. So yeah, let me know what you guys think, and we'll go from there. So what are my kind of final thoughts and final observations for the I almost said Dart Zone Longshot for the Xshot Longshot? Well, preferred ammo is definitely going to be the Ember Darts. Close second is going to be the Bamboo Darts. They, had the highest FPS. They hit just about as much as the Ember Darts did. Your ranges are going to be definitely 45 feet. Any type of upgrades you do is just going to extend that. With the scar barrel, you're going to lower your FPS just a little bit if you upgrade that. So, keep in mind what you do internally is going to affect those accuracy and performance, or accuracy and precision tests. So those are the 2 that I would go with. As far as like what I enjoy about this blaster, The first thing is, I have to say it because this is something that stands out between any other blaster manufactured right now, is this skins type of line that Xshot does is just amazing. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, I don't know how they do it. I don't know if it's like hydro dipped. It's not a sticker, I don't think. I'm not sure how that's done. But the fact that it's painted on both sides, they have some really nice kind of imagery on here. It's really detailed, very nice. And I can't stop and say, I can't make a review without, talking about that, because nowadays blasters are very plain. Most of the time, that's a good thing because people paint them or make them their own and, do whatever they want. With this, you still can paint it, but the cool thing is Xshot has a really good reputation for coming out with variant skins. So this isn't the first skins series that they've done. They have other blasters that they've kind of done this treatment to, and they've released several different kinds of skins for the same blaster. So I'm curious to see how this one will fare and if they will bring out other additional ones down the line. Fingers crossed. Easy access to the barrel and spring, that's huge for modability and longevity, as well as kind of customizing the blaster to your liking. There's a few people that have scar barrels that just attach onto 16mm barrels that will need to have access to a longer barrel. This is phenomenal. You don't have to take the whole damn thing apart. You can just literally take out 3 screws and you have, fine tune right there in here. Obviously, if you want to, re-grease the plunger tube and the plunger rod, all that stuff, you'll have to take everything apart. But to do the majority of your tuning on the spot, the day of an event, that just changing the barrel, changing the spring, that's huge, absolutely huge. Full Picatinny rail. I can't not say this because this has, I feel like this has to be a go-to. This has to be the standard. 100% has to be the standard going forward, just because everyone likes to put their attachments on. Me personally, I have 2 cameras that I run, scope cam and then also a selfie cam. I've got a battery that I attach that charges those 2 things. You've got your sight, D-ring, which for this one I'd probably use one of those 2, possibly, I'm not sure. But plenty of Picatinny rail for all your attachments to make it exactly what you want. Flashlight, stuff like that. The expandable stock is a neat idea. It doesn't have to be included, but I really enjoy that. And then easy prime. Like, this thing is super light, and that's something that kind of goes unnoticed, right? You've got something that hits 140, 130 feet per second. You expect it to be a little bit harder prime. This really isn't that bad. So good all around. Some of the things that I would improve or change or modify. The front pump grip is something that I really think that needs some help as far as the wobble goes. Some of the solutions, just brainstorming and spitballing here. I'm assuming that the tensions and things like that probably can be reworked. Maybe a new 3D printed assembly as far as the Picatinny rail goes. That makes it a little bit tighter. You might also need to 3D print something that goes around the barrel that slides a little bit smoother, whether that's with casters or it's a little bit tighter to the barrel itself. Something that that kind of shrinks this wobble down just a little bit would be nice. Again, $30 blaster still has a great feel, priming and shooting. Like, that's your biggest concern, is priming and shooting. So if I had to nitpick, that's the first thing. And then the other thing that I would like to see is an exposed barrel. That's something that I feel should be kind of a standard when it comes to any type of performance grade blaster, just because people like to put their own attachments on. Some attachments are a little bit bulkier, like the T238, I think is what it is. It's got the LEDs in it or whatever. Some are just, just a worker, a worker scar barrel. Like, just have the forethought to put the barrel a little bit further. I'm excited that the barrel's as long as it is, but just having, an 1.5-inch, 2-inch barrel exposed would be fantastic. They can still include something like this to fit over theirs, you know, just have a shroud that fits over top of it, and it gets a little bit tapered towards the end here so that the scar barrel still works, but you know, you protect that actual exposed barrel. I don't care how you do it. That's kind of where I'm at with that. Is going forward, that just needs to be a staple. Expose the barrel out the front and then cover it with a shroud of some sort, you know, a friction fit shroud. That would be perfectly fine. Please. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got. I mean, it's a really good blaster for $30. I couldn't recommend it enough. You know, when you're looking at purchasing this for $30 or this stock for $50, which one should you go with? This one hits a little bit harder, but this one's got a lot of upgrades that this one doesn't have. And I mean, it's really just kind of down to personal preference. The Nexus Pro has got a lot of aftermarket parts, but this I feel like is kind of like the 2023 Nexus Pro, right? Like, you know, I can't really say much more about it. Like, there's gonna be, you know, metal internals, there's gonna be, you know, barrel swaps, there's gonna be front, you know, easy access barrel attachments, plunger tube, plunger rod. Like this, I feel like this blaster is not done yet. And if the mod community has anything to say about it, you know, you're gonna see a lot of really good attachments, upgrades, and things like that. And the one thing that I can't get over is just this quick access release for short darts. Like, that's just super cool. So anyway, guys, highly recommend it. Pick one up at Target. These are just hitting store shelves now. Yeah, it's definitely worth it. So like I said, I'll put the unboxing video up here, and then also keep an eye out next week or the week after. We're going to be doing an upgrade video for this. We're going to be replacing a lot of the internal parts. I've got some really cool stuff planned, and I'm excited to bring that to you. If you're looking for another video to watch to compare to this, we've got our Nexus Pro review. You can go ahead and watch that. It's a little long, but definitely a lot of good information there, so go ahead and check that out, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.